Hello, just me at the top of the episode to let you know. This is our first ever two-part episode. It was not planned that way, but Daniel Agar came in with so many great stories, and we talked for so goddamn long, I thought I could split this up into a two-parter. So you've got part one this week, and part two will be coming out next week, and I hope you all enjoy. Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments that people have had whilst working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are an actor, a singer, a musician, and gainfully unemployed, Daniel Agar.
I put it in parentheses, and I love that. Yeah,
I was trying. Genuinely, before you got here, for a little bit of a peek behind the curtains for anyone listening as well, I get people to fill out a little form beforehand. I get them to give me their titles that they kind of want to be known as in the industry and all that crap. And Daniel put gainfully unemployed in brackets, and I have not stressed out more than like. Does he want me to say this? Is this an inside joke? Is this like, am I meant to say this as a fourth thing? So I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Yes, I did. I was expecting it. So
because 15 minutes before you arrived, that was stressing me out.
We could have talked about it.
We could have. I genuinely didn't even think about it until I brought it up there on the phone too. But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes.
I can relax now. I do want to say as well, Daniel, we were talking about it a little bit before the podcast began. I think you're my first ever TikTok star that I've had on the podcast.
Oh wow. I wouldn't call myself that, considering like TikTok stars, you think like millions and millions of I've only got hundreds of thousands of followers.
Only hundreds of thousands.
Only hundreds of thousands.
I think when I had TikTok, which is gone now, I'm fully deleted everything, I had 12 followers. So you're doing a bit better than I did, I'll be honest with you.
It's a big reach,
Yeah, well, I think most of them were either bots or like people trying to scam me of money.
Yeah.
Which is honestly, I appreciate the following either way. So if you are trying to scam me out of money or a bot, do give me a follow on Instagram. Call in now.
The numbers help.
They do, genuinely. I'll take anything, honestly, at this point in my life. Do you actually maybe want to tell people a little bit what the TikToks are? You are, of course, incredibly talented actor and singer and performer, but I'm just amazed by like people that made it, quote unquote, on TikTok.
Honestly, I still have no idea how I got that much following. It started out just doing random like music stuff, and then people just started pointing out that I looked a little bit like one actor, and I'm just like, I started just acting like that actor. And then they were like, oh my god, it's that actor from Wish. And then I'm like, great. And then from Wish.
I don't even think I know what Wish is.
You don't know what Wish is? It's like Amazon, but like it's the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, sorry. Wish.com.
Wish.com.
Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I thought you meant Wish, a TV show or a film.
No, from Wish.com.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So they're insulting me.
I think it's Temu now, isn't it?
I think so,
the
yeah.
Temu version of it. Who's the actor as well? Are we allowed to say?
Well, the big one was Jared Padalecki from Supernatural.
Yeah, I enjoyed them for their first 40 seasons. Then I stopped watching after that, I'll be honest.
Yeah, no.
That's cool. I can see that a little bit.
Yeah, when I've got a beanie on, it makes it seem like it's more of a thing. And then I just started putting on like an accent, being like, "Oh, I'm Jared Padalecki."
Pretty good, Jared Padalecki.
Exactly. Honestly. So they're like, and then people are like, "Oh, that's funny." And then they're like, "What other impressions can you do?" So I just started doing more impressions, and then people started following more.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Were they good impressions?
Some of them were. Some of them still need work. I would definitely say.
I'm Mickey Mouse.
That's exactly what. Hey, I'm walking here. Hey. Yeah.
It's a classic. Everyone's got like one impression in them, which is like super. I don't know, like stereotypical impression, I think, but everyone can do one, at least, I think.
Yeah. Everyone's got a Boston in them.
They do. A terrible, terrible Boston. Just like I think everybody thinks they have a Scottish in them as well, and I'm like, that's not a Scottish accent. That might be an Indian accent you're doing, but good on you for trying. Just please stop doing it to me.
Yeah. I know every Australian actor has a South African accent that they try to
do, right? And they just love to whip it out sometimes on set, like when you're like hanging around when you're waiting for turnover and you're like, cool, man, I don't know how to respond to this, but sick. It's also like one of the least utilized accents I think you ever need for when you are acting. I've never seen a casting call for an Afrikaans or a South African accent.
No, I don't think I have either. But somehow the movies keep on getting made with big actors.
That's true, actually. So there are definitely South African movies and stuff like that. But like working in Australia, I've never seen like a casting call for a South African accent before. Or maybe they go to like the 3 South African actors in Australia as well.
That is very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did mention as well before the podcast that TikTok has had its bloody ups and downs, mates. Would you like to share some of the first off some of the horrifically embarrassing stories from TikTok, and then we can move on to real work. I'm doing that in brackets because I mean, fuck, take the work where you can get it just now.
Yeah. Horrific things. Well, because I do a lot of music stuff on TikTok still. I do like TikTok lives and things like that.
That seems like a fucking nightmare. If I'm being honest. It seems like a genuine nightmare.
Yeah, no, it is. In one of the last lives that I did, you just get like lots of really creepy people just like sending messages directly to you.
I think that's what they're made for, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like, but you're like, I just want to play music to some people, and a lot of people are usually like very.
I know, super receptive and really lovely, right? But it's like that. What, 5%? Would you say?
Yeah. Well, if you're doing it to like 100 people, there's usually maybe like 2 or 3 that are sort of like egging each other on, and then they're you're like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird, and because and for me, a lot of the comments that I get when they're like bad, they're like very like aggressively sexual, which is like, it's really like it gets uncomfortable at times.
Fucking should be. Yeah, that's not all right. Like,
no, it's.
Is it so with the lives as well? You don't have people joining in. It's just the live commenting. You're not.
It's just live commenting.
Insane people. It invites people to join their live streams.
I don't understand those ones because it's like that's inviting the chaos into.
I think it's more like chaos. I think it's inviting criminal things sometimes. But yeah, are those people? I'm always so like. Why watch things that you don't enjoy? I mean, I know like this is such a stereotypical being like, why are you doing this, people out there? But you're like, why are you fucking coming on someone's live stream and commenting? But can you repeat
they're obviously liking it. It's just that they're it's like they will message on the things being like, oh my god, you're so cute. Oh, want to give me some kisses?
Humble brag.
Yeah. Why do you go? Come and give me kisses. And I'm like, sorry, I'm just trying to play some music here.
I'm just trying to play Wonderwall.
And it's like, no, come on, give me. And then it'd be like, no, come on, I want you to, And then I'm just like,
give me kisses.
Yeah, you must give me kisses. And I'm like, I don't like this.
Oh, I'm sure Jared Padalecki doesn't have to put with all this.
No, well, yeah, he
probably does actually. To be fair,
that is probably very
Supernatural fans. Real interesting bunch.
Oh, I know. I get a lot of them following me.
Yeah,
wow. Yeah. Like that's like half of my following. On TikTok.
It? No shit.
Yeah.
Are they? Do you ever get any weird requests? Because obviously Supernatural's finished now. Not obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, like it ran for like 20 seasons or something fucking insane like that.
It was like 25.
25. Yeah, that's fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, good on the guys, obviously, but like, do people want Supernatural to live on through you at all?
Some of them do. Like I have, because I can do like a whole bunch of the voices. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. I'm Jared Padalecki, and then they're like, no, I'm Dean, and then it's like, and it's like, and then it goes to and I'm Castiel, it's sort of like and then they're like, play out some scenarios where it's like really funny and also fanficky in a way, and I'm like, I did that for a little bit, and I'm like, okay,
and then they all kiss at the end.
Yeah, stuff like that. But
yeah, that sounds like the worst parts of some of TikTok. I mean, also, is it funny? I don't know. Like,
it gets like reach. It's like you get like tens, if not hundreds of thousands of likes, if
that's
you do
fucking
that kind of
crazy.
Stuff. Yeah. Like going viral on TikTok, you just like, you don't know what it's going to be though. Cause like you'll put lots of effort into a video, or something like that. And then it'll get like 1,000 at most, which is like nothing on TikTok because like it's just like a constant stream of information.
Of course, like doesn't even matter if people like it or not as well. Hey, regardless.
Yeah, because then you're like, if you get like 10,000 like views, and then you maybe get like 100 likes or something like that. Sometimes.
Right.
It's
that's
like
so weird.
The metrics really don't like add up.
Yeah, for sure, huh? Have you ever been approached by anyone being like, hey, I will pay you for private videos?
Not private videos. I've had sponsors like try to come up to me, be like, "Hey, will you do this? We don't really have any money, but we'll give you the product for free." And I'm like,
like, can you say? Sorry, I don't want to. I'm not going to say any NDAs or anything.
I'm not going to say any because I haven't taken any of them because I've always felt like I want this. If I'm doing this, I want it to be like a fun experience rather than like.
Hey, I'm Jared Padalecki. Yeah. I love Clash of Clans.
Welcome to what is it? It's like, I'm Jared Padalecki, and this is Raid Shadow Legends.
Someone's gonna clip that. That's gonna be out there now, mate.
Ah, shit.
So sorry, Jared. We didn't mean it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I've had some not Raycons, but basically they're trying to be Raycons, but they don't have.
That's even worse. You didn't even get Raycon.
I know. I got. I mean, Wish Jared Padalecki gets Wish Raycons.
Of course, J-Cons.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks. I'll pass on your $12 headphones, but yeah, wow, that's so funny as well because it's like, I suppose it is a way into, sponsorship, which then hopefully would be a way into making money, because God knows. All us actors are just waiting for the fucking phone to call all the time anyway, so if you can't actually make something of it, that's good, I suppose. But yeah, also it fucking sucks sometimes when you're like, I'd rather not wear your crappy necklace, thank you.
Yeah, and then there's also like, because I've also had people approach me to do like TikTok content for them.
Oh.
And they're like, oh yeah, we want you to do this, and also maybe it's also a brand thing, but they like trying to sweep it under the rug and be like, we'll pay you, $150 for you to just do like this one little TikTok video for us. And then I'm just like, okay, and then I'm like, give me more information before I do this. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh no, you want me to do an ad for you for $150 that you want to go viral on TikTok.
Those are everywhere now. Like, they're like, we'll pay you $200 to do user generated content. That's what you always see it called now, UGC. And it's just like the lowest paying amount, and they will fucking pump that video out to everyone as well.
Yeah, and then because you've got that out and you've got like you're now associated with that brand, that means you can't do any other ads that may be like conflict with it. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna like lose out on like a 3,000 to like 10 grand ad because you make some quick content.
You wanted off-brand Jared Padalecki
saying
how much he likes your shoelaces or whatever. Although I don't think shoelace companies are paying that much for regular adverts anyway. But like that kind of stuff's so fucking strange.
Yeah.
But it's so, like, I think it's kind of cool. I feel like I sound like an old man now as well, like all this TikTok stuff. But yeah, I think that's so fucking cool as well, being able to actually build your following. Do you ever get people being like, hey, saw you on Neighbours or whatever?
Well, I haven't been on Neighbours yet.
No, it's not yet. Neighbours, if you need off-brand...
Neighbours, I'm available.
We're all very available.
Yes, please.
I'll come back on again.
I know so many people who are now going into like the rebooted Neighbours, and I'm just like, oh, they're just like, can I go on too?
I've been on it, the rebooted Neighbours.
Yeah.
My episode's not out yet. I did some stunts on it though, so I was like, I can come back as a real character that says more than one word.
They reuse actors all the time.
All the time, right?
You see people like with the like, oh yeah, I was on Neighbours, and then you just see like a whole bunch of names next to them for all of the episodes.
Dash. Yeah, Dash. These aren't even the same names, and they just played like 4 different characters throughout the years.
Yeah,
I think that's what I want to do. I don't want to go like make it in Hollywood or anything. I want to play 4 different characters throughout my lifespan on Neighbours. As long as Neighbours sticks around for that much longer as well.
And as long as they're paying residuals. I mean, today the writers' strike ended.
The actors.
The actors' strike. Yeah, SAG-AFTRA.
So at time of recording, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but at time of recording, the SAG-AFTRA strike has, I think, officially come to a close.
I think so. It was literally like hours ago that it was
everywhere online just now as well. So I don't know. This episode's coming out tomorrow at time of recording, so I don't know what the fuck's going to happen tomorrow.
It could be going back into strike.
Exactly.
As we know.
Could be like, that turns out actually they fucked us all over. So, but I think this is positive just now.
Yeah.
So we can finally start getting that American production money back over in Australia again. Finally. We'll move on anyway from TikTok and Neighbours. So did you have any... you did have a lot.
I have a list.
Daniel showed me I want to say a ledger of prepared stories. So we will try and get through all of them. I don't know if you've listened to the previous episodes. I usually like to leave the most salacious story to the end, keep all these beautiful perverts listening.
Yes.
Do you have any idea of how you want to tell them, or if it's like chronological, or if you've got particularly bad ones you want to leave until the end?
Oh, I don't know if it's... a lot of the really, really bad ones I feel happened like at university, so
there's so much of that, right? There are so many. I have so many from like beginning career and university as well. Because you're a FedU.
I am.
Yes.
I'm an FU grad, as,
an FU
as they like to not say. They're like, don't call us that. But,
so Federation Uni, which is now called something different.
I think it's still Federation.
Oh no, sorry, it was Ballarat Performing Arts Academy.
BAPA first,
BAPA, yeah.
and then it became Fed
now it's
Uni.
FU.
FU.
So much like some of the friends of the show as well. We've had but like 3 or 4 people I think on the show now which went to FedU at different times of their life or of FedU's life. So a very successful school, I think, and it's probably like. It's not VCA, so it's the only alternative, really, in Victoria.
In Victoria, yeah.
Do you want to start off with some of the FedU stories?
Yeah, I would happy. Let's have a look at the ledger,
Yes.
Because there's definitely some that are like, they're like that's traumatic, and then there's some that are like, oh, that's funny.
That's the balance I try and get on this podcast. I find trauma and comedy, just like the perfect 50-50 percent like scale, just so it's always just one side's just exactly the same as the other, because if it's too much trauma, I mean, God, there's enough fucking stuff going on in the world today. Exactly. But then if it's all comedy, that's not what Melbourne likes. We're based in Melbourne as well, I should say that. Melbourne loves its fucking dramas.
It does. It's very, I've done so many dramas this year. That's
very self-serious place, Melbourne.
Yes.
Fucking lighten up. Jesus. Sorry, yes.
Take the piss out of itself, yeah.
Yeah, right? So, do we have any that we want to start off with as well? We absolutely do not have to start off with FedU as well. And I feel like FedU is getting a lot of free advertising here.
Free advertising. Well. It might not after this.
FedU, hit us up. We can wait till these stories start.
Oh yes, Fed Uni, please. This doesn't reflect everyone that worked at Federation University.
Just the majority? No,
no. I wouldn't say the majority.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
I think we've cut, and we'll say allegedly as well.
Yeah, allegedly.
Why not?
So do I have to preface this story by saying allegedly at Fed Uni?
I reckon that's a safe thing to say. Yeah, this gets played back in court. Everyone that's listening just now has to subscribe to the podcast. I just wanted to put that out there. All you people in court, you have to subscribe. Okay. Continue with your defamation case.
Okay. Well, I think this is a story that, like, if you were at Fed Uni at like the time that I was at Fed Uni, everyone was just like, "Oh, okay, this is a story about me." That, like, it's like when I was there, I was known as I was bad at auditioning. Like, I was notoriously bad at auditioning.
That's great as an actor as well, I find.
It is. And I've had some really bad auditions that, like, while I was in Fed Uni, trying to go in, because they're like, at the end of the year, you'd go out into the world and you start doing things towards the end of it.
So I've never been to, I never went to university in Australia, so I'm always interested. So it's like at the end of the course, or the end of each year?
Oh, at the end of the course, because they're like, we don't want you to, like, you're not ready to go out into the world yet if you're not in third year, basically.
Yeah, so, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
At the at the end of third year, when they're doing all of there's lots of like shows that are probably like towards the end of the year they like to do. Then we're doing our following year auditions now.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, and there's a couple of really bad ones for like my first ever going out, but I'll wait till this one will probably preface like what it's like going.
Beautiful. We've got an entire chronological order of terrible auditions.
Yes,
cannot wait.
Yes, so this one was in my second year of university. I was auditioning for the show of Bye Bye Birdie.
Okay. Never seen it personally. Is it any good? Actually, I don't know anything about. I've only heard of it.
It's a show.
Oh, okay,
it exists.
So maybe it's good that you didn't. Well, I actually don't know what the story is. So
no, well, like it's honestly, it's one of like it's stuck with me. I'm just like, it took me a while to shake off the fact that I had a lecturer say that I was the worst audition that they'd ever seen in their entire like career as an actor.
I mean, impressive.
Yeah.
For all the wrong reasons.
I know. But when I start to explain the audition, you might start to see like, oh, like this was not a good environment that was sort of being... It was... all right, so auditioning for Bye Bye Birdie. I was wanting to audition for the role of Albert because I was like, oh, I don't really see myself as any of the other characters in the show. So I'm like, okay, I prepared this song. It was a song that was cut from Cabaret, the Candor and Ebb musical. And I'm just like, oh, this is a song that nobody's heard before. And I thought, oh, it's going to be like a good one. And it's very much like a fun, jaunty. It's like
nice.
It's like this is like a love song, and I'm doing this, and I'm like, great. So I've walked in there and I'm ready. And I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. Hi, my name is Daniel Agar, and I'm here to audition for the role of Albert. And I've walked in there, I've said that, and then the director behind the panel just goes, no.
What?
Yeah, it just goes, no, your energy's all wrong at the moment. I want you to go out and then come back in, and then we're going to do that again. And I'm like,
oh my God.
What? I have no idea what's going on right now. Okay, I'll just go out and I'll come back in and reset, I guess.
Did that director give you any feedback on what the energy was going to be like? Oh, okay,
no, it was just you've got the wrong. I can tell you you don't have the right headspace right now, and I'm like, what is going on? Okay, I'll
tell you what, I'm not going to come back in with a better fucking headspace after this.
Yeah, so I was just like panicking. I'm like, what was I doing wrong? I'm like, okay, come out. And I come back in. I'm like, okay, I've like, what? I've come in and I've done. I don't know if I've done anything different, but they're just like, okay, I go on, I guess, and I'm like, oh, I want to audition for the role of Albert, and they're just like, you see, I don't see you as an Albert. And I'm just like, what? It's like, no. When you go outside to give you the sides and things like that, I want you to get these sides for Conrad Birdie. And I'm like, I hadn't even considered this as an option.
Okay.
Okay, I can do that. But here's a little thing about me that I've learned recently. I'm dyslexic. So...
Oh, shit.
So, like, I was reading over all of the Albert stuff because, like, I didn't realize at the time, I'm like, oh, I have to go over things a couple of times for it to get into my...
Yeah, for sure.
Get into my head. And then...
Especially in high-stress situations.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. I'm going to sing this song now. And then I go over to the accompanist and we start singing. Like, we'll start, talking about the song. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to go from there and we're going to do this and it's going to be cool. Yeah. And I feel like it didn't help me that I cut it like in the middle of the song to like go to the end because that's like the money maker bit.
Oh,
and I started,
of course. Yeah, that's the fun bit.
Yeah, and I started singing it, and I was like, la da 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 da, and then they were like, no, that. Do you have any other songs in there? And I'm like, yeah, I've got this song. If you want me to do that song, and they're like, okay, do that song, and I did that song, and they're like, you should have done that song instead. Like, and they're saying it like I'm saying it to you, being like, you should have done that song instead. Why did you do that other song? And I'm just like, I don't know. We still got the rest of this audition to go. And they're like, go out, grab the sides, and we're going to come in and we're going to do... you're going to do the Conrad Birdie stuff. We're not even gonna look over any of the Albert stuff. We want you to come in, do the Conrad Birdie stuff, and we want you to do it in a Southern accent. And and I'm like, if I had known, I would have practiced. But
I cannot do accents without practicing them.
Yeah,
you're like, especially when you're, I'd like. What a fucked situation to be in to start off with. But, like, when you're so inside your own head after that point, it's like, well, I'm going to sound like Foghorn Leghorn or just completely fucking ruin this. I don't know what you want from me here.
Yeah, and it did sound like Foghorn Leghorn. I'm not going to lie. It was bad, and I'm like, and I'm just like, okay, because I was, like, obviously having some kind of... I was basically, at that point, I was having a panic attack.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, this is going horribly, and they're letting me know every step how bad I'm making it when it's...
Yeah, why was the director so angry?
That was just... It wasn't... They weren't angry. It was just that they will say what's on their mind and they will just... And whatever's on their mind, they'll just be like, no, that's shit. That's bad.
Yeah.
And because we worked with them a lot at university. They're no longer at the university for good reasons.
And I get that. Like, it's good to be honest with feedback, but I also think there's ways of doing it as well where you're not crushing children's hearts. Like... maybe be a bit nicer?
Yeah, well, this is only the first half of the story because the audition goes badly. I butcher it, and they're like, "Yeah, great, cool. Thank you for your time. Go away." And I'm like, that was the worst thing that I think I've ever experienced up to that point. Like, I'd done bad auditions where I was just like, okay, that's fine. But I'm at a university and we have to do the show. So I can't not do the show.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we wait a week and the cast list comes out and everyone's been given their roles except for me.
Oh.
I'm the only, every single other person at the university in our year level had been given a role for, I was the only one whose name was absent from the entire... Yeah, and everyone was just like, what's going on? Why is Daniel's name missing? And then they were like, oh, okay. And then they added it in as a separate thing at the bottom.
Oh my God.
And they were just like, ensemble. And I was like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, okay. And I was just feeling shit for an entire, because there was that.
Of course.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then the first day of rehearsals for Bye Bye Birdie comes along about 5 days later.
Yeah.
And I've walked into the room and the director comes up to me and says, yeah, we need to have a talk. Oh, and I'm like,
come on.
No. And then they pulled me aside and had a talk with me and they were like, that was the single worst audition that I've ever seen a person do in my entire life. And I know that you're better than that. Which is why I did this as a lesson to you. This is what would happen. You wouldn't have gotten anything in this show if you went in and did an audition like that. And I'm like, I know that it was bad. Yeah, no, I was panicking a lot during that. And then it's like, yeah, no, it was reading. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
I mean, with hindsight.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, but thank you for that. I really, I'm like, thanks. I guess we're going to offer you the role of Conrad Birdie, because we know that this is, I know, we basically precast this and you were going to be Conrad Birdie.
What?
But I know you can do the role, but but in there, it made me feel like you're not a good actor. And I'm like, oh, that was, Jesus. And I'm just there and I can't really say anything because this is the director of the show that I'm going to be working with for the next 6 months.
And you can't walk out of the show because it's part of the university. I mean,
exactly.
If this happened in real life, and I mean, maybe with a few more years experience as well, but you're like, that's horrible.
Yeah, and it gets worse.
Oh, fuck.
Because we go back out into the room. We go out into the main room and we have a chat with everyone, and they're like, oh, by the way, Daniel is going to be playing Conrad Birdie. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Everyone's just like, all right. Whew, there was a sort of a wave of silence being like, everyone's just like, okay, everything seems to be going all right now.
Everything. I've literally just had a reminder on my watch to relax. So thank you for this.
Yeah. Well, time to unrelax.
Oh, fuck. Turn my watch off.
Because they started talking about the auditions with everyone in the cohort sitting in a...
So the director was talking to everyone?
Talking to everyone, and the musical director was being kind-ish, being like, okay, so sometimes there's a reason that songs are cut from musicals, because sometimes they're just not as good as songs that are still in musicals.
Okay.
And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Slightly hinting at certain things here.
Yeah, and then the director, in front of the entire year level, just goes, oh, yeah, no, that was Daniel. That was one of the worst things ever. And then just starts going on about how bad my audition was in front of everyone.
So not only everyone, but you're now the headliner of the show. You're the lead.
I'm Conrad Birdie. I'm the Birdie in Bye Bye Birdie. Yeah. And they're just, and it's just, okay. And I'm like,
everyone needs to have confidence in you for the show to essentially go on. Being the lead of something has so much weight fall on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So to be instantly belittled in your very first rehearsal day must have done you wonders.
It was... Yeah. Yeah.
So fucked, though.
It was quite fucked, and I didn't realize how, when you're there, just oh, maybe this is because you're at a learning institute. You're like, oh, is this what the industry is like? If am I going?
I'm sure this something it is in certain bits, but
yeah. And I was just like, okay. And I just had to sit there and take the, basically being told that I was, a terrible, terrible actor.
The verbal beatdown.
Yeah, in front of everyone, and like everyone was just like trying not to make eye contact with me because there was obviously just like they could see that I was being yep. Cool, and I was.
Do we have to stay on this for so long?
Exactly.
Like, I did a bad audition, and guess what? We've all done fucking terrible auditions as well.
Yeah.
Like, I've done some auditions where I watch back, or like other people have seen them afterwards, and I'm like, what the fuck did I do there? And guess what? I continue to get work after it. It's not the end of the fucking world.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like, I get it. There are like, fuck, man. Like, everyone has a bad day, or sometimes, yeah, sure, I made a mistake. I'm in school. Like, I'm learning things.
Yes.
Let me try things out and then say, like, let's not do that. Fuck, man.
I'm in a learning institution to learn.
No, you're in a learning institution to get bullied by the people that work there.
That's what they seem to think.
Fuck, that's hectic. And again, all right, this is no reflection on FedU as well.
No, that person no longer works at Federation University. Although there are still people that work at Federation University that have like done and said things that you're just like, whoa! There's a person who worked there up until recently who once told another actor, "Are you autistic?"
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, because it's just like, are you on the spectrum? Because I can't understand any of the choices that you're making.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. Funny thing for me as well, I've found out recently that I am on the spectrum. So it's like a...
Same. Asperger's as well. So. Yeah. So that's always nice when people insult you and question you and belittle you at the same time.
Yeah.
And it can come from a place of caring, probably, if somebody asks that, because it may be something that you don't know yourself, but yeah, don't do it like that.
Yeah, no.
Also, don't do it in a belittling way. I think that's
and
probably
don't
the
do it
least
in a
helpful.
rehearsal room with...
Never do it in front of other people as well, yeah. That's fucked.
Yeah.
Do we have any more FedU stories? Or can we move on from there?
I think. Well, that was the big Fed Uni story.
Okay,
there's
cool.
there's like lots of little ones. For one of our shows, they wanted to create a depressing environment for the show.
Wonderful.
So in order to do that, they created a depressive environment for the show.
Bet that was healthy.
Yeah, that was one of the worst experiences I've had.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's called acting.
Exactly.
You can just act.
Exactly. And
I never understand it. It's always when it's like dark or heavy stuff, people want to make it that real. Like, if it's a really fun, upbeat show, you're never like, let's make this a really fun, upbeat environment all the time.
No, it's always the ones that
It's
it's just like,
always dark, depressing ones. That's always the same with method acting as well. It's like method actors. You never find a method actor, you're like, I'm playing a really good character. I'm going to be a great guy all the time.
Yeah,
it's always arsehole characters. And you're like,
Yeah.
I get to stay in this all the time now. And I'm like, no, you don't have. What are you talking about?
I'm going to stay in this negative mind space and I'm going to send people just the worst things.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all looking at you, Joker. But yeah, it's just, I think it's such an unhealthy, like, because you're like, I'm a human being as well, man. I don't want to be in this.
And we're all like 20 years old as well.
Right.
And we're like, oh, this is a show at our university and people are going to come and see it and we want to do it. And they're like, we want to create like a cutthroat environment that's really like depressive. And to do that, we're going to just keep doing exercises that make everyone feel like shit. And then we're going to, we're not going to final cast every single role until about a week before the performance.
Oh, great. So you're just all on edge.
So we're all on edge, and it's just like people were
Fantastic.
throwing each other under the bus in order to try and get like the scraps that were left over from...
And then you go out into the real world and you're like, this is what it's meant to be like. And then you're like, oh, wait, no, this isn't... Wait, what?
Yeah.
It's like, shows can be fun and stuff, and
Shows
people have a
can be
life
fun.
outside of it. Yeah.
And also, you're getting paid sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully most of the time as well. Certainly when you progress in your career, you get paid more and more often, which is such a strange thing to say, because I always harken back to like accountants. It's like, imagine you finish accountancy school or whatever you do, university, and then you're like, my first 4 years I'll be working as an accountant for free.
Yes,
And it'll
for
be
exposure.
great
to
exposure.
accounting.
Yes, all the other accountants will know me, and it'll be fantastic. And maybe sometimes I'll do an accountancy job, and they won't even release my accounting, and then nobody can see the accounting I did, even though I did it all for free.
Exactly.
So, not to get too deep, complain too much. You've created this a depressing environment. Jesus, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. There's going to be a lot more worse auditions.
Hello. Now, not to interrupt all of these wonderfully awkward stories, but Coffee on Cue is back at it again. Introducing the Coffee on Cue Filter Coffee Brewing Pack, your ticket to enjoying these embarrassing moments with a perfect cup of coffee. This incredible kit includes a 2-cup V60 pour-over filter brewer, matching filter papers, and 250 grams of their Ethiopian Guji single origin coffee, specially roasted for filter brewing. This is the gift for the coffee drinker in your life, or for an office Kris Kringle, or anyone that says, I don't really want a present this year. And the best part? Well, we've got an exclusive offer just for you beautiful perverts. Head over to www.coffeeonq.com.au, and that's QCUE, right now, and use the code WBFT15. That's WBFT15 at checkout, and you'll score a fantastic 15% off your purchase. So, whether you're brewing up awkward stories or sharing a laugh over a cup of delicious filter coffee, the Coffee on Cue Filter Coffee Brewing Pack is here to make every moment extra special. And that'll happen with your WBFT15 15% discount. So don't miss out on this incredible deal and the opportunity to give the perfect gift this holiday season. Visit www.coffeeonq.com.au and use WB15 for your 15% discount and start embracing the awkward, one cup of coffee at a time. So I'm excited to hear. Well, excited's maybe not the right word. I'm interested to hear about this final year audition story as well that you were saying as well when you're getting released out into the real world.
Yes. This was the first big. I should probably. Can I say? It was for Book of Mormon.
Oh,
it was,
wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
When they had, obviously, their Melbourne mounting of it.
Yeah. Back in
6 years ago?
2017, yeah. 2017 was like Yeah. Before I did my shows with you. We'll get to those.
Yes. Oh, sure we will.
Yeah.
So Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
Hazard to say a pretty well-known show, I'd say. Yeah. Maybe one of the most popular musicals of the modern era.
Yes.
So no stress going into the audition.
No stress.
Sure.
Well, because I prepared for this audition. I was like, I've got everything ready to go. I know I've got the song ready. It might be a bit out there with what it is, but I have rehearsed it with an accompanist and with and I'm just like, this is going to go great. This is going to be really, really good. Like, you know when you're feeling like really
when you're coming
good?
out of acting school as well, and you're like, I'm going to get out there, I'm going to get an agent straight away, I'm going to book my first large job, it's going to keep going, and it always works out like that.
Yeah. You're not seeing this, but Seb's eyes are just like...
glossing over. I'm just having flashbacks just now of years and years of not working. But sorry. So Book of Mormon, are you allowed to say who you auditioned for, or was it just
it was a general audition.
Cool.
Yeah. This was the first time I ever auditioned for Book of Mormon because obviously it just kept
coming back.
Yeah, it kept coming back.
Yes.
And I definitely got better as it went along, and I got further as it went along. But it was
awesome. Well, that's good. That's a good ending to the story I'm yet to hear.
Yeah. So I get to the door because you line up to go to the door to go into the audition room.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you meet with the accompanist outside.
Yeah, cool. And you're just in the waiting room with 1,000 other sweaty youngsters as well?
Well, you do the waiting room first, and then you do the waiting in line to go.
Okay.
It's very like that.
Right,
with
wow.
a lot of musical auditions, at least with a lot of the bigger musical auditions, they do a lot of cattle call kind of.
Yeah, I've never really done many of them personally. I don't come from a musical theatre background, but you do hear about them a lot more, especially for people that are maybe more specialised in like singing and acting, but then they have to go and do the cattle call auditions for dance.
Yeah.
And that basically just means they throw up 50 people in a room, and then it's basically like X Factor, like not you.
Yeah,
like, wow.
It is very much like that. It's like, the last cattle call one that I did, I was just like, I'm gonna have a little break from musical theater because that's how it made me feel.
You're not the first person to say that to me this year. Honestly, I think it sounds fucking full on.
Yeah.
But I presume this one went well then. Book of Mormon?
This Book of Mormon went so well. So I've walked up. Well, I'm waiting in line. It's up a set of stairs because they had to make it in the most inconvenient room as possible.
Of course. Yeah, so you're mildly out of breath, sweating when you got the stairs as well.
Yeah. And then I'm at the top and I'm talking to the accompanist, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this song, and I'm going to do it this way, and I just want to make it a little bit more upbeat because this is because I want to go for this character, and this is sort of this is the kind of thing that I want, and then I'm style
of the songs that they would be singing,
and I'm just I've workshopped it, I've cut it up for you. This is all you have to do is play it there, and then it'll this will be great.
And then I'll get the part, and then that easy.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And then the accompanist goes, No, I don't want to do this song. And I'm like,
oh,
what? He's like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this song.
Can they say that?
I don't know. I'm just like, I want to do that. And it's like, yeah, no, they don't want to see it in there. And I'm just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I just do it like that because I want it to be. I'll explain it. I wanted to do Bon Jovi. Always, but I changed the words to be about Jesus. So
very fitting for Book of Mormon. Yeah,
Book of Mormon. So it's sort of just I will always love you, Jesus, and then it's sort of it's a and I want it to be in there, and it'll be a funny joke because it's this is Bon Jovi, but it's actually talking about Jesus.
To Jesus.
Yeah, because singing a love song about Jesus. That's very funny.
Yeah, and I'm somewhat in keeping with the themes of the show as well, right?
Yeah,
I could see that in there.
I did my research.
Yeah,
and
right.
And then he's just like, nah, don't want to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, have you got anything else? And I'm like, I've got my repertoire book. And he's like, oh, okay, bring that up here. We're going to look through that to choose a song. And I'm just like, oh, but we can do this. And he's like, nah, get your repertoire book. And I'm like, okay. So I walk down the stairs because the repertoire book is in the waiting room. And then I come back up and I'm like, okay, let's go through. All right. Okay. You want to have a look at some of these songs?
Yeah.
And he's like, yep. And he's like, oh, let's do this song. And I'm like, are you sure you want me to sing Santa Fe from Newsies?
What?
in this audition? I feel like that is not the right fit for what is going on. And they're like, no, look, they're gonna love it, it'll be fine, we're gonna go in and we're gonna do it. I'm like, I guess you're the professional. And I'm really and I'm like, okay. So no, I walk into the room and I'm just like, hey, should we grab the other stuff just in case? It's like, no, I'm grabbing just Santa Fe from Newsies, and we're taking it into the room, and that's all. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like,
this is the strangest. And now, for anyone that doesn't know as well, accompanist is basically just the person that plays piano live in the room for you. Are they part of the company? Are they
sometimes no
outside source?
A lot of the time the outside source. There was two accompanists there on the day. One of them worked at Fed Uni, and I was like, oh, it's going to be so good if I get that one. And I got the other one.
You got I don't want to say anything out of line, but the bad one.
Yeah.
But so is this person as well? So they may or may not even know what they're looking for in the room as well.
Well, they were like, oh, I know what they want in the room. They were like, they've had enough of that kind of stuff in the room for today. And I'm like, well, I haven't done that in the room today.
I know, right? And also, I made this song myself.
Exactly.
No one else would have done this song today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I walk into the room.
Yeah.
I stand on the X in front of a panel of 11, 12 people.
Holy
shit.
And
there's a camera with live stream, and they've got
wow.
Yeah, that's a
lot.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And so the person behind the desk, obviously because it's an American show, they are an American person, and they go, hello, what have you got for us today? And then I went, hi, my name is Daniel Agar, and I'm going to be singing...
No, not in that energy. Not in that energy.
Not in that energy. Go out. Hi, my name is Daniel Agar. I'm going to be singing Santa Fe from Newsies. And they're like, have you got anything else?
Oh, my
God. And then I looked over at the accompanist.
Yeah.
He was doing his best to make no eye contact with me.
What a dick!
And then I'm like, I'm like, what, I'm like, no, it's okay. My rep folder is literally just out that door right there. I have a song that I reckon
the
that
perfect song.
and they're just like, no, just do this song. Just do the song. I'm like, no, it's right. And I'm just like, And then I proceeded to sing Santa Fe, probably the best I've ever sung Santa Fe, but it was like, it's Santa Fe, and it's not what they were looking for.
Look, I love Newsies. That is not the style of the Book of Mormon.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Santa Fe especially. That's quite a sad song. Well, not a sad song, but like
it's like a yearning song.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I'm sure it was great in the room, but
but it wasn't what they were looking
That's
for.
not
And
the
then
Book
there
of
was
Mormon.
like, thank you for your time, and I'll see you later. And then I'm like, well,
did you speak to the companies? Have you seen them ever again?
I have not seen them ever again. So like, it's
all right.
They came in there to ruin my life, and then they disappeared.
Name who they are.
I don't even know their name.
Oh my god! Oh.
I can't even dox them.
Turns out there was only one accompanist that day. The other accompanist died there 50 years ago, and he's just been fucking up people's auditions ever since then.
Honestly, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. What an arsehole.
Absolutely, yeah. And that was my first like professional audition. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's a great start to the industry.
Not only like chop you down entirely when you're about to go in for like the accompanist probably doesn't know it's your biggest audition or your first audition, really.
I feel like they could probably like smell it on you. They're just like, oh, this is a very green person.
This guy's fresh.
Yeah, let's cut out the weak links, like who aren't sure of themselves.
But to be so sure that that's what they wanted in the room, and then so completely wrong about it, is again genuinely impressive, but fucked.
It was fucked.
Yeah. That's so sad as well. But you're saying that you have auditioned again for Book of Mormon since then? Yes.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I've never like been in Book of Mormon, but I have gotten to like third or fourth round auditions.
Yeah, which is great. Like, and people always say like every audition you get's a win, every callback you get's a win. I sometimes wish I didn't get callbacks if I don't get the part, 'cause I'm like, I mentally start being like, I might have this role.
I'm getting that money.
I might get paid.
I've definitely gotten down to like the last two for professional productions, and I'm like, yeah, and then they're just like, like either like it was like during COVID and things like that, so it was just like. I was like, it was down to me and somebody else, and I'm like, oh, great. And then COVID like delayed it, and then I was being a replacement for somebody, and because the COVID like stopped it, it's sort of like it meant that the person who I was replacing was able to do the show. So it was like, sorry,
COVID.
yeah, I know, but
that stuff annoys me more than just not getting it straight away. I think I say this every single week on the podcast. I once had this TV commercial audition. I think I can talk about it. If not, future me, edit this out.
This is going.
But I was auditioning for a bank TV commercial, which pay very well. Or they used to, maybe less so now, but this one was paid very well. And I went in, and I'll be honest, on the day, I was like, I'm not getting this, whatever. Like, I just went in and didn't care about it. And essentially, I had to go in, and all they did was they had an empty chair in the room, and they're like, all right, you're Dylan Alcott's coach. And for anyone that doesn't know, Dylan Alcott is a very famous Melbourne tennis player. I think he's from Melbourne. He's Australian, certainly.
I think so.
Yeah, but he's in a wheelchair. And then all they got me to do in the audition was scream at an empty chair in the room like I'm his coach. And I was like, this feels a bit weird, but whatever. Yeah. In the moment, it's really hard to gauge sometimes as well, but... Again, whatever. And then I got a phone call from my agent a few hours later. And whenever this is my old agent, whenever I used to see her call, I was like, what have I done? Fuck. I've presumably like destroyed my career. And she's like, yeah, they loved you. You're on hold. You're their first choice. They want you to come back in for costume fitting in 2 days. Like, keep this on hold. And then she kept messaging me back. Like the next day, she's like, your first choice. They keep saying your first choice. And then she called me the night before the costume fitting. She's like, they went with their second choice. I was like, well, how was I first choice then?
That is... it's always the producers that do that. Like,
I know.
Yeah, it's like you're the director's first choice, but like the producers wanted someone like this.
Oh, it's blonde-haired or something. I was like, I will literally do anything. It was so much money as well.
I can dye my fucking hair.
I'll shave my hair. I will lose 3 inches off my height. I do not care.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that kind of stuff. Because it's not only the like, okay, I've kept those days free now and... I started mentally spending that money, but you just feel good when you're like, oh, people liked me for once. And you're like, well, I wasn't even their first choice. Being their first choice, what is this?
You were you were their first choice at being second choice, that's what it ended up being.
I was their first choice, or not even. I was their second choice. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Whatever it was,
you didn't get the
very
job.
upsetting.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I was like, I feel a bit weird about screaming at that chair now, pretending it was Dylan Alcott. But there you go. That's the industry, I suppose.
Yeah.
Swiftly moving on from that, if that is kept in the podcast. Do you have any more terrible audition stories? Because personally, I really enjoy them.
Oh, I think I've got a few in here.
Yeah, beautiful.
Let's have a little squiz.
So we can do a few more audition stories and then move on to presumably plenty of set stories. And then maybe, do you have any stories? So Daniel and I have worked together on 2 separate theatre shows as well.
We have.
So I don't know whether you have any stories from them as well.
I mean, apart from the fact that I've been listening to the podcast and at least... You mentioned at least one or both of these productions because they both had some very interesting things happen in them.
We can get onto this as well. We'll bring them up as well for any newer listeners or just in case I haven't covered them as well. But yeah, there's definitely one time in each production, there's definitely parts just seared into my memory being like, that wasn't all right.
That was something that happened.
Yeah.
And one of those was my first show out of uni.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was the January after I'd graduated
from
university.
No shit.
Yeah.
I know what show this is then.
Yeah.
But we'll get onto that. I'm sorry, any more TV, any more commercial, any more auditions. Yes. They don't have to be TV commercial auditions.
I have to... You know when you're like, I'm blanking now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
With all your plethora of notes as well. Jeez. Well, I suppose...
this is a good one.
Yes.
This is a good one. This one happened last year, I think. No, I know it happened last year.
Yeah.
I remember it very well.
Vividly.
Very vividly. So it was another musical audition.
Yeah.
A lot of the really bad auditions have been musical auditions.
Nice.
I feel
because there's so much going on in a
musical.
musical.
There is. They ask so much of you, and because when you do a musical audition, they send out packets, and this is relevant to the story.
Yeah, right.
They send out packets for you to do and learn and rehearse.
Yep.
And sometimes those packets they get you to learn 3 different roles, and which usually have like a song each at least.
Holy shit.
Sometimes they can be full songs. Sometimes they can be excerpts of songs.
Yeah.
And then they usually have maybe 1 or 2 scenes for each character as well.
Wow.
So...
God, that's a lot.
It is a lot, and they ask a lot of that from you, even in like the initial audition as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be like, you might, back before self-tapes were like, a commonplace, it was sort of like, you'd go in an initial audition having to know all of this stuff or being ready to know all of this stuff.
Much.
Yeah.
Were you ever allowed like scripts in your hand or
sometimes, but like if they for some reason, apparently it's a very Australian thing that they don't like
scripts in
they
your
don't
hand.
like scripts in
Yeah,
hand.
it's so strange, isn't it?
Everywhere else is just like
it's fine. Yeah. I remember being in Britain and they didn't give a shit because they'd rather you be able to look at your line rather than be like,
yeah,
I don't know what I'm going to say next.
exactly. So for this one, it was for a cruise line. I'm not going to say which cruise line.
Please.
It was one of the big ones. But
I'm really gunning for a cruise line sponsorship as well. So please do not defame P&O Cruises.
No. Well, yeah.
But yeah, so many cruise lines take on so many musical theatre performers as well because you basically need 24/7 entertainment on there, right?
Yeah, and they all whenever you do one of those cruise lines, a lot of the time they get you to you have to know 2 shows.
Yeah,
you learn 2 shows. You play different roles in the shows. And it's like if you're playing this character on this show, you'll be playing this character in this show.
Oh, so it's always the same. Like you're always
usually
that
it's always
that
the same.
Show. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
cool.
Which means that you have to learn all of the stuff for both of those characters.
Yeah.
And if they give you multiple characters, it's sort of like you have to learn. So
Jesus.
it's like and they just throw a lot at you. So for this cruise line, I've been given this audition packet, and it's just so much stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and divide my attention into all of it so that I can be well on my way to doing it. I get to the audition. I walk into the room. They'd given me the wrong packet.
Oh, fantastic.
They'd given me the wrong packet, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And they're like, oh, you didn't get this, and this. And I'm like, no, I'm showing you. And I'm like, this is all the stuff that I have here. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, that's the wrong packet.
What does that even, like...
They send it, it's like, it's got the wrong cuts for songs and things like that. And I'm just like, oh...
But can I not just audition with this?
Yeah, well, I ended up having to do that.
Okay,
but because I walked into the room and they're like, oh, we just want to hear... When you have like a packet, usually there's all of that stuff there and they don't want to, like, maybe you bring in like a pop song or something like that, but they don't really want to see anything else that's not in the packet.
No.
And they're like, okay, we'll sing the song, but because I was stressing out, I'm like, okay, I did the first verse and chorus perfectly well. And apparently that's where the packet was supposed to end.
Okay.
But they were like, all right, since you've practiced up further, we want you to go and do the entire song. And I'm like, well, if you just want that, do you want that? They're like, no, if this is what you've practiced. And I'm like, I would be happy to just do that.
I think I'm more than happy to do less.
Yeah.
Or the appropriate amount. I don't want to do more.
Yeah. So I ended up doing like 3 minutes of this song because it was a long song. And like, if they just stopped it, it would have been great. But they wanted more. And then they were like, okay, is there anything else that you have? And I just have this giant packet of like 7 different characters, and I'm just like,
all of this.
Yeah, I've got all of this, and they're like, oh well, we don't really want to see any of that.
Well, why did you send it to me then?
I know, and and then I let my agent know that, and they were like, oh, oopsies. Yeah,
that's so much work for nothing as well.
It was so much work for nothing.
Did you get a callback from the cruise line as well?
No.
I feel like in that respect, I'm like, just give you a pity callback. You've done so much work, and it was entirely their fault.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't want to be in that room again.
I mean, fair enough as well in that respect. Yeah. We've had plenty of friends of the show that have done cruise lines as well, and they can sound like floating nightmares occasionally. A few friends of the show that are comedians, if you bomb on a cruise line, you have the possibility of seeing people at like the breakfast buffet the next morning. They just look over at you and be like, oh dear. And you're like, fuck, I can't escape this. I know.
Oh,
and then,
that's bad.
Yeah, a few other musical performers as well, where you're just like, nobody, I don't know, going to see a musical on a cruise line seems like an interesting choice, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm glad that I didn't get on a cruise line.
Yeah. I mean, it's great money as well.
It is.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I've auditioned for them many times.
Yes.
But now I've stopped auditioning for them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think... No, you go.
I was going to say, it's nice when you get to a point in your career where you're like, I think I can stop doing this now. You don't need to go for every single star now audition. You don't need to audition for everything that you don't want to do. And like, by no means in a financial place to be turning down work, but you're like, for the sake of my own mental health, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah. No, I've had some... I've had some chats with my agent being like, well, why didn't you audition for Grease for the 7th time? And I'm just like, look.
There's only so many times I can sing a Danny Zuko song and not fucking hate myself when I go home and cry in the mirror.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to hear?
Is that what you want to hear? Oh, that actually reminded me of a very fun... The first time that I ever auditioned for a Grease. Because there's always a Grease going on.
I think it's like
somewhere.
Shakespeare, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's always one Grease going on at every minute throughout the world.
Exactly. And like every cruise line has a Grease. It's just a... Yeah.
Yes, right? There's always a Grease on a cruise line.
Yeah.
And controversial opinion, I don't love Grease. I'm not such a fan of the older musicals. I like the new ones a lot more. And I'm a big musical fan as well, but...
I don't feel like Grease is the musical for now, you know?
No.
I know a lot of people in Grease. I have friends in Grease. Yeah. You are fine.
Yes.
I love you guys. Yeah. But I'm not the biggest fan of Grease.
No, me neither. But like saying that, not that I'd ever be asked. I would take a fucking drop of a hat. I'd take a role in Grease. But like, it's just not what I want to go and see.
I would like money.
Yeah. Well, is there anyone listening? Please pay us. Anything as well. It doesn't matter what. Yeah. Which actually reminds me of another story I have to tell about you as well, Daniel. But please tell me about the first time you auditioned for Grease.
The first time I auditioned for Grease.
Yes.
Yes, this one's a funny one, just because it's like this one isn't a traumatic one.
Oh, good.
It's very funny, and spoiler alert, I got a call back for this one. And
Hey!
I don't
We're sharing some
how,
wins
but I
as
did-
well. Yeah, nice.
yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, so I walk into the audition room. There's a panel over there, and
Yep.
then you go to the accompanist first.
Yep.
This time the accompanist was in the room, so I just walked into the room and talked with the accompanist.
Yeah,
and
nice.
we were like, chatting and like, oh yeah, no, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be going for. I'm auditioning for Roger, so we're going to be doing Mooning, obviously,
Yep.
because that's the big Roger song. And then I'm like, all right, great, cool, ready to go. Stand on the X. The guy behind on the panel goes, hello, you're Daniel, right? You're auditioning for Roger? And I'm like, yeah, no, my name is Daniel, and I'm auditioning for Roger. And I said it back to him in an American accent.
Yeah. Nice.
And I'm just like, what? And he's like, what's going on?
Are you mocking me?
Yeah. And I'm just like, we sort of just stared at
Mentally
each
just be
other.
like, I'm going to commit to being American now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was like, I am now from California. Yeah.
Sorry, sir. Where are you from? Because I'm also from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was the Greece set in, like, obviously it's in America, but, like, were
Yeah.
you all doing American accents for it?
Well, I was singing in an American accent, and I
Okay.
did the scene in an American accent.
So maybe you can get away with that in that
yeah,
case then,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
But it was very funny because it was literally, I was talking to someone in my, like this,
Oh.
and then I stood on the X, and they were like, hi, are you auditioning for Roger? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm auditioning for Roger.
When I'm standing on this X, I am purely American.
Exactly.
Nobody even reference Australia to me, please.
Yeah, and I got a call back from that. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
nice.
Yeah.
Maybe that guy's like, I like this kid's gusto. He came
yeah.
in, instantly belittled me, but I want to see more of him. But at least that one's like fun.
Yeah.
Like that's not deeply
Yeah.
traumatic. I'm going to move on now as well. So I know that you've done a bit of like roving entertainers work and kids work and stuff like that as well.
I do have stories from
Do
that on
you?
there,
Beautiful.
yes.
Well, this is the perfect segue into them in that case then. So I know that you actually covered for me one day for some roving entertainer work.
That is actually one of the things that's
Is it?
on
Oh my
there.
god.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'm not going to tell the story. I would love it if you could. Please enlighten us. I'll set it up a little bit. So I used to do a fair bit of work as a roving entertainer. Predominantly as a dinosaur/dinosaur keeper. So it'd be a two-person thing. One person would be in an inflatable T-Rex costume, and the other person would be out of it. Essentially to stop children coming up and hugging you and tackling you. That's all the dinosaur keeper had to do.
Yep.
And occasionally stop adults from interacting in a really weird way as well. Because, like, I don't know what it is. Some people just should not be allowed out the house.
Yeah, it's just something about when they see someone in a suit, they
Yeah.
just dehumanize that
If
person
you cannot
immediately.
see their face,
Yeah.
like even if you have a mask on, people are like, oh, that's not a real person.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want to them.
I've got some stories about people doing like just the worst things to me while I'm in a
No.
costume. Yeah.
Oh, no. Well,
Yeah.
please tell us this dinosaur
This
one.
dinosaur
first off.
one. Okay, so it was me and friend of the show.
Yes, Paul Westbrook. He was another dinosaur keeper at the time.
He was, yes, and we were alternating who was like in and out of
Yes.
the T-Rex costume.
Because it gets fucking warm in
It
there.
does, and it was at night.
Yep.
It was at a zoo.
Yes.
Can we say which zoo? Or
It's a zoo just outside of Melbourne. I think
Yeah.
that's broad enough, but also specific enough to not get us in trouble.
Yeah. So we're there, we're doing the thing.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I'm in the dinosaur suit.
Yes, wonderful.
Yes. Do you know what I'm going to talk about?
I think I do, but I'm
Yeah.
very happy to hear about it again.
Yes. So I'm going around doing my dinosaur thing,
Yeah.
making just the most weirdest sounds, and
Of course.
as you do, you get into character.
You can't talk, can't really see that much
Mm.
as well. And like you said, it's nighttime, so your peripheral vision, like it's a dark open air zoo, so you cannot see anything.
Yeah, it's like you're like, okay, I can see directly below me, and
Yep.
that's about it.
Yeah.
And then this child, I would say they're about like maybe 14 years old.
Oh, they're the worst age.
Teenagers around suit characters.
Yeah. No, never
Never.
allowed. Like,
Always.
3-year-olds to maybe 8-year-olds. That's all that are allowed to be around suit characters.
Hmm. Yeah.
Older than that, they're rat bags.
Absolutely. So this kid sees the giant dinosaur,
Of course.
and is like, I reckon I could hit that with a stick.
And I mean, like, you're in the costume, and there's nothing in the costume except from air. It's just inflatable as well.
So it was hitting me when
Yeah. And they hit you with a stick.
They hit me with a stick multiple times. They actually chased after me with the stick.
Oh my God.
And Paul had to like get in between me and the kid. And then the kid sort of realized what was like. He was like, oh, I've made a mistake. Threw the thing down and like the stick down and then just bolted out of there.
What's wrong with this kid?
I don't know.
That is... Did it hurt as well?
Yes, it did leave bruises because it was like, when I say it was a stick, it was like a tree branch that they'd picked up.
Where did they even get that from?
It was an outside zoo.
Oh, that's fair. They just pulled it off it. They reached over into the gorilla enclosure and grabbed one of theirs.
Exactly. And they
fucked,
they got like quite a few good like welts in as well. Like
Jesus.
It was like one of those ones where it's like, you know, where it's like you hear like the...
When it's audibly making a noise as well, that's when you know it's made great contact.
Yeah.
That fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I took that night off as well.
Yeah. It was fun. I mean, I got paid for it.
That's true. I mean, obviously, and I don't know why I have to say this, but anyone listening, don't do that to people in suit characters, like mascots or whatever. Don't do that. Like, they're getting paid regardless.
Yeah, they are a person.
They are a human being in there.
Yeah, maybe don't, hit them, punch them,
tackle them,
even shoulder check them.
Yeah, sometimes as well. Like, don't hug them as well because it's really weird and you don't know what's going on all the time in that costume.
Well, sometimes it's fine when it's like, but like sometimes you get the people who are like a little bit overzealous with the hugs. Like I've had. Like where it's a hug that sort of almost turns into like a wrestling match.
Oh no!
I've definitely had the wandering hands.
Yeah,
it's always creepy old men.
It is, isn't it? Where they're like, "This will be funny," and like, no, this is just assault.
Yeah, this is not fun for me. Yeah.
That's anyway. Sorry, I really brought that down there.
Oh yeah.
But like I think it's always dads. They're always like, "Oh, look at what I'm doing." And you're like, "No, you're just being a dickhead."
Yeah, and it's so weird because like sometimes they will see you and then they will clock you and they're like, "I'm just gonna fuck up this person's day."
I know,
and
right?
And they will come up like I've had people literally come up to me to punch me.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah, while I'm in the suit, and then I'm just like. And I'm like, and they're reacting to it. I'm like, and I'm like, why are you laughing at that? There's like a thin bit of fabric between me and what they're doing, and so they just punch you.
Yeah, right. And you're like, well, how about if I just come up and punch you?
Yeah,
like just while you're doing, see my face. Yeah.
And sometimes they'll do it like they like it's basically a king hit.
Yeah, right.
It's just
and they're like, "Oh, this is like a padded suit," and you're like, "No, it's not.
No, it's not."
Yeah. But you can feel my arm through the fucking weirdos. What suits would you be wearing as well?
I wear many suits.
I'm a man of many masks.
A man of many suits. The ones that I've like consistently done over the years, probably Rudolph is probably the
right.
Rudolph and the Easter Bunny are definitely big ones that
and they're like they're full suits, hey, and nobody can see your face in them.
No one can see my face in there. When they can see your face, they usually are a lot
more normal.
Yeah. But there's just something about it, and whenever also if you're doing it at like an event where there's like alcohol involved. I was working an event like last week. Yeah. And we had to. There was a bunch of us. We all dressed up in. It was like a Halloween event. I'm not going to say for what because it was for a big company. And now that the strike's over, I don't want to be like, oh, this is this is what happened at this event. But somebody punched one of the workers thinking they were a mannequin, and then
Why punch a mannequin, though?
I know, that's what I'm saying. But because we were standing around like wearing like masks to be like creepy and things like that. And then this guy's just like and just goes bam and punches the person next to me.
Holy
and I'm just
shit.
like and then their partner is just like, no, don't, that's a person. And they're like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. And then just like they got out of there as quickly as they could to try and not face to face no repercussions because they're like, oh, this is an event that for people
work as well. You're like, why would you go around punching decorations though?
I don't know.
That is fucked.
It is.
What is wrong? If you're that person listening,
what is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? Grow up.
Absolutely.
It's always so weird as well. I find whenever work groups go out together as well. I used to work in a theatre restaurant and we'd always get work groups in. And they're like, they're forced to interact in a way which they would never interact usually because they're always just at work. But then you like add in that little bit of alcohol and they've got that freedom, and they all just act like petulant children. They're all just like constantly like stripping wallpaper off the walls or like smashing glasses, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're 45. What is wrong with you?
Oh, yeah.
And
No.
always wanting to grab staff as well. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, guess what? Every single staff member ever, they never want grabbed, regardless of how they're dressed. Don't do that. Or
Yeah.
punch them as well, obviously. I mean, I
Maybe
feel like
don't do anything that you wouldn't do.
at the office.
At the office.
You fucking weirdos. Anyway, so I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I'm moving on from that.
This is a fun time.
I'm so sorry. It'll bring up horrible past memories.
Well, we won't be forgetting it.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Thank you so much, Daniel. Hey, this is the end of part 1. So, Daniel will spook himself at the end of next week's episode now, but I have linked everything in the show notes as far as all of his links and where you can find him for this week too. So, check out the show notes if you want to see any more from Daniel. The same for myself every single week. Won't be forgetting that pod across most of the social media platforms. Myself personally as well, Muirhead, Muirhead across Instagram and YouTube. If you did enjoy the episode this week and every week, could you please think about subscribing, 5-star review, writing a little comment too? Word of mouth is massive for this kind of stuff as well. So if you could tell friends about it, that genuinely is appreciated. I've also started up a Patreon as well. So there's only a couple of little tiers and they're nothing too expensive just now. It's genuinely just to help with the costs of this podcast. I understand that it's expensive to live just now. So any little that you can give is greatly appreciated, and I will catch you all next week.